What if the reason your feet go numb every single night has nothing to do with what you do during the day, and everything to do with the 90 minutes before you fall asleep? I'm Robert. I'm 83, diabetic for over 2 decades, and I want to walk you through 3 specific night habits in the order I'd rank their importance that I believe make the real difference between waking up with feet that feel like yours and waking up having to shake them back to life. I still climb my own porch steps without gripping the railing. I carry my own groceries in from the driveway in one trip. At 83, that's not something I take for granted, and it's not something that happened by accident. Here's what almost nobody explains about nighttime numbness. It isn't random, and it isn't simply worse at night because you're more aware of it. 2 very real things happen overnight in a body that's been running high blood sugar for years, and both of them get worse the longer you sit still. First, hours of stillness let blood pool in your lower legs instead of circulating, starving your feet of oxygen right when nerve repair should be happening. Second, whatever you ate at dinner keeps digesting for hours, and if that meal was heavy in refined carbohydrate, your blood sugar is still elevated during the exact stretch when high glucose does its quietest damage, sticking to proteins in nerves and blood vessels through a process called glycation, something researchers have studied since the early 2000s as a central mechanism behind diabetic nerve and vessel damage. Habit number 3, and the one most people skip because it feels indulgent instead of medical. Soaking your feet in warm water with Epsom salt, plain magnesium sulfate, for about 10 minutes, 3 or 4 nights a week. The warm water alone causes a mild widening of blood vessels in the feet, encouraging blood flow into tissue that's often starved of it by evening. And there's a documented connection between magnesium and insulin sensitivity. Research places meaningful magnesium deficiency in roughly 1/4 to 1/3 of people living with type 2 diabetes. A basin, 2 cups of Epsom salt, 10 minutes, water tested comfortably warm on your wrist, never scalding, that's the whole routine. And it costs less than a cup of coffee. Habit number 2. 2 minutes of ankle circles and calf raises right before bed. Your calf muscle works like a pump, squeezing the veins in your leg every time it contracts and pushing blood back up toward your heart against gravity. Sit still for hours, as most of us do in the evening, and that pump goes idle, letting blood pool in the lower legs exactly when your feet need circulation the most. 10 ankle circles each direction, each foot, then 15 calf raises holding a counter for balance. It costs 2 minutes and activates a mechanical pump your body already has, no equipment required. If your feet burn at night, or go numb, or feel cold no matter how many socks you wear, please don't ignore it. I almost did, and I'm 80 years old. For years I told myself it was just age, the tingling, the heaviness in my legs climbing the stairs. But it wasn't age. It was my blood sugar quietly damaging the nerves and the circulation in my legs, and almost nobody warned me in time. If you let it keep going, those little signals turn into something you can't undo. I wasn't willing to lose my feet or my independence, so I started doing one thing every single day to help support healthy blood sugar and protect my legs. I'll show you exactly what in this video. And if you want the simple support I personally use, there's a free presentation linked in the description below. And habit number 1, the one I'd rank above the other 2 if I had to choose just one: what you eat at dinner, specifically what you don't eat. Swapping the refined carbohydrate, white bread, white rice, a big serving of pasta, for a slow-digesting protein like cottage cheese changes what your blood sugar is doing during the hours you're lying still and unable to move it along with muscle activity. Research on nighttime protein intake has shown that a protein called casein, found richly in cottage cheese, releases amino acids gradually over several hours of sleep rather than spiking quickly. That slow release does double duty. It keeps you fuller through the night, and by displacing the starch on your plate, it flattens the blood sugar climb that would otherwise still be happening after you turn off the lights. Your doctor almost certainly never walked you through any of these 3 together as a system. It's not because they're wrong or unimportant. It's because a standard appointment runs somewhere around 8 minutes, barely time to review medications and check your numbers, let alone teach 3 coordinated nightly habits that cost almost nothing and require no prescription. That falls through the cracks of a system stretched too thin, visit after visit. I want to be honest that these three work best together, not picked one at a time and tried for a week. The soak improves local blood flow. The ankle circles and calf raises reactivate the mechanical pump that moves that blood. And the dinner swap keeps blood sugar from climbing right when your body most needs it stable. 3 habits, 1 system, working on both sides of the problem, circulation and glucose, at the exact hours when both are most vulnerable. These days I sleep through the whole night without waking up to shake feeling back into a foot that's gone dead. I still drive myself to see my old friends on weekends, something a lot of people my age can no longer say for themselves. A woman named Corazon Villarreal wrote to me a while back, 74, a retired hospital bookkeeper from San Diego, diabetic for 18 years. She told me her feet used to burn and go numb in alternating waves most nights, bad enough that she'd started sleeping with a pillow between her ankles, hoping it would help. She started all 3 habits together, the soak, the 2-minute movement, and the dinner swap, and 6 weeks later wrote to say the alternating burning and numbness had become far less frequent, though not gone entirely. I share her story as an honest example of what consistency can look like, not as a guarantee. Everybody responds a little differently, and none of this replaces her medication, only supports it. Let me give you the practical order, because doing all 3 at once, cold, is how people quit by day 4. Start with the dinner swap first. It requires no new equipment, just a different choice at the grocery store, cottage cheese instead of an extra portion of rice or bread. Give that a full week before adding anything else, so you actually notice the difference it makes on its own. In week 2, add the 2 minutes of ankle circles and calf raises right before bed. It costs nothing, takes less time than brushing your teeth, and stacks naturally onto a routine you already have. By week 3, layer in the Epsom salt soak 2 or 3 nights a week on the nights your legs feel heaviest or most restless. By the time all 3 are running together, they've stopped feeling like a task list and started feeling like just what you do before bed. I'll also say this, because people ask, none of these 3 habits are expensive, and none require a prescription or a doctor's referral to start tonight. A bag of Epsom salt costs a few dollars and lasts months. Cottage cheese is one of the least expensive proteins in most grocery stores. The ankle circles and calf raises cost nothing at all. For people living on a fixed income, and I know a great many of you are, that matters as much as the science does. What I want you to take away isn't just 3 isolated tips. It's the idea that nighttime numbness has an actual cause, made of real physical mechanisms, pooling blood and elevated glucose, and that both of those mechanisms respond to specific, deliberate action. That's different from being told it's just diabetes or just getting older, full stop, end of conversation. It's a problem with moving parts, and moving parts can be worked on. None of what I've described is meant to replace your doctor's plan. If numbness has become part of your nightly routine, that's worth raising at your next appointment, not instead of your treatment, but alongside it as part of the same conversation. I think often about the people my age who are still out walking their own neighborhoods, still driving themselves to see their grandchildren, still climbing their own stairs without help, and the ones who've quietly stopped, who now depend on someone else for things they used to do without a second thought. The difference is rarely dramatic. It's 3 small habits, repeated night after night, that either became routine or never did. It's not too late to start tonight. Your legs are still capable of that pump. Your blood sugar is still capable of settling, given the right conditions before bed. The biology doesn't stop listening just because it's been ignored for years. It simply waits for someone to pay attention to it again. If you made it this far, you already understand more about your own legs than most people your age ever will. That matters. You know now that the burning, the numbness, the cold feet, they trace back to one thing: blood sugar slowly working against your nerves and circulation. And you know the goal isn't a miracle. It's protecting your ability to stand, to walk, to stay independent. That's why, alongside everything I showed you today, I use a simple daily support to help keep my blood sugar in a healthy range, so my legs keep carrying me where I want to go. I put the free presentation in the description below. Go watch it. And as always, keep working with your doctor. This supports your routine. It doesn't replace it. Tell me in the comments which of these 3 you're going to try tonight. and which one your feet have needed most for the longest. I read every one of them. And if this made sense to you, subscribe, because there's more of this ahead.